against each other, bearing it all early, so to speak. This go-round, each has a tune-up under their belt. The third-ranked Hurricanes paid a visit to South Carolina last week and gunned down the run-and-shoot Gamecocks by 20 points. Melvin Bratton scored 3 touchdowns on the ground, while Vinny Testaverde tossed for another. The 9th-ranked Gators, meanwhile, did a number on Division I 2A Georgia Southern, as quarterback Kerwin Bell ran his record as a starter to 19-2-2, tossing for 3 touchdowns and running for yet another. This one on Saturday looms as an aerial circus as well.
We got to put a lot of pressure on him. We watched film, and the teams like Georgia put a ton of pressure on Kerwin. They got to him, and they beat him. We're going to do the same.
Bell figures the Gators' success will stem from a balanced attack.
Throw some on first down, run some on first down. Be a second and 5 situation where we can either run the pass, football, and keep the defense guessing to be successful.
11th-ranked Florida State is on the road this week, traveling from Tallahassee, the site of their 24-0 whitewashing of Toledo a week ago, all the way to the heartland, to Big Red Country, Nebraska. And you don't have to tell Bobby Bowden the Cornhuskers are a far cry better than the Rockets.
I'd rather play this kind of football game. The only thing is it's hard to keep your job playing this kind, But there's no doubt about it. I get fired up when we play somebody like Nebraska. I'm sure our kids get fired up, but sometimes it don't help your one-loss record.
The Cornhuskers lost their big play man during preseason practices when Doug DeBose was sidelined for the season with a knee injury, but filling in will be Keith Jones, the Big 8 champion in the 60-yard dash. And emotion will play a part in this game as well. Nebraska has been given a reprieve from the NCAA, and revenge will also be a key. The Seminoles beat them last year 17-13.
And this game will also be the first ever night contest at Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, and the weatherman may play a key. The forecast is calling for 45 degrees and drizzle. Time for us now to bring back one of our seasonal features. Craig Sager has taken...
AA has ruled 60 Nebraska players ineligible for similar violations. The Cornhuskers are appealing the decision. Their appeal will be heard on Tuesday. They open up tonight against Florida State. I'm Bob Richards, Headline Sports.
It's almost not played. Nebraska is not one of your renegade schools that has a blatant disregard for the rules. The Cornhuskers have one of the best reputations within the NCAA and have never been placed on probation. But few, if any, schools are perfectly clean. And when the NCAA found out that most of the Nebraska players had given complimentary tickets to people outside their immediate family, today's game with Florida State became a question mark. CNN's John Fricke reports from Lincoln.
By NCAA rules, a college athlete can give away passes to a game, but only to relatives and fellow students. While investigating the University of Nebraska over the summer, the NCAA found that Husker star running back Doug DeBose gave some of his passes to friends outside the university. That violation prompted more digging. The NCAA discovered a handful of Huskers had done the same, but saw the investigation would take too much of its time, so it asked Nebraska to conduct its own in-house inquiry. The Huskers complied, and 77 names were handed in. The NCAA reviewed the case and found 60 players guilty. Nebraska thought the issue was resolved after it agreed with the NCAA to penalize the guilty players by reducing their allotment of passes in the future. But the NCAA's eligibility committee went much further. And on Wednesday, Nebraska was told that all 60 players would be declared ineligible for one game, either 10 a game for 6 games or all 60 at once, leaving Nebraska coach Tom Osborne to ponder forfeiting the Huskers' opening game. The penalty was appealed. Nebraska lost. Thursday morning, local papers and Husker fans ripped what they termed a penalty too severe.
I think it's a rip-off. I feel sorry for him.
If NCAA wants to make sanctions, they should do it maybe later on or something, not right now.
The student body remained faithful Thursday morning, lining up to get tickets for a game that might be lost before it was played. By mid-afternoon, the NCAA and Nebraska had finally reached an agreement.
Our request was to stay the ruling on the eligibility of the players until our appeal can be heard by the Council Subcommittee on Eligibility Appeals. The NCAA did respond by approving that request and approving the state.
I think this is the best option right now that we could have had, so we're pleased with that. And naturally, we're disappointed that we have to go through all this, this close to the game.
The issue is still not settled. A new appeal is set for next Tuesday, and even if the NCAA makes the game suspensions stick, Nebraska, as a source told us, will probably take the 10 players per game sideline, saying the university is strongly opposed to forfeiting any games. On Saturday, the stands at Memorial Stadium will be jam-packed as the Huskers play their first night game ever, opening the season against Florida State. And while this game is a sellout, university officials say they will continue to give their players free tickets, only this time with a word of warning about what can happen if they give those tickets to the wrong people. John Fricke, CNN Sports, Lincoln, Nebraska.
A similar situation with another team.
The Nebraska Cornhuskers. Nebraska has lost running back Doug DuBose, a Heisman candidate, to a season-ending injury, which thrusts sophomore quarterback Steve Taylor to the fore as a principal offensive figure for the Cornhuskers. Another sophomore quarterback, Chip Ferguson, becomes the key man for the Florida State Seminoles. Good passer, good field leader, trigger man for the freewheeling Seminoles. A year and a week ago, we were here in this very place for a Saturday afternoon game. The temperature was 103 and the field temperature 135, but you can see what it is tonight. It's downright wintry, and we are fearful that the rain may continue through most of our game tonight, and it certainly may well have an impact on what happens down on the field, because I don't care if you are on artificial surface, it makes it more hazardous in handling the football and sometimes in throwing the football. And now the Seminoles are ready. Here comes Florida State into the stadium. Florida State Seminoles have played a ball game already this year. They defeated Toledo by a score of 24-0, had another fine season last year, and Bobby Bowden, the head man, in his 11th year there, one of the top coaching records in the country. And now the roar starts to build for guess who? The Big Red of Nebraska. And it's an incredible stat that they have sold the stadium 144 successive times. And this man, Tom Osborne, in his 14th season, one of the top records in all of college football, ranked third among the active coaches with a winning percentage. And you can see the Huskers look like they are jacked up for the opener, because they remember well losing 17-13 here a year ago when Florida State held them scoreless in the second half on that hot afternoon. And they know well, too, that if they get out of the blocks against Florida State, the rankings might well go up. Whether or not the crowd feels as much relief as the football team, having been able to get over this ticket scam over the past few days. I think everybody feels a little relieved in Lincoln right now, and the fact that the Oklahoma Sooners, their arch rival, won big this afternoon over UCLA probably has them jacked up a little bit too, because they kind of want to match everything the Sooners do and take this thing down to the end of the season. But the matter of 60 players having to sit out a ball game as a result of an NCAA directive regarding mishandling of some complimentary admissions by the Nebraska football players a year ago, that decision has been appealed. It has been stayed. All players will play tonight, and we'll get a decision next Tuesday from the NCAA Appeals Committee on the immediate future of those 60 players. But let's not dwell on that. Let's turn to a new face sitting alongside me now for 1986, replacing the redhead from Decatur. The great football coach at the University of Arkansas, Frank Broyle, sat here for 9 years, and we miss him. There's no question about it, because the two people you're looking at right now, we hope we're among Frank Broyle's great friends. But the Irishman from Maryland, Tim Brandt, moves into the analyst position now and becomes my colleague for the season. And let's go quickly, Tim, if you will, to the impact of all of this hassle and turmoil from the NCAA and what it might have had to do with the preparation for the Cornhuskers for the opener.
Keith, there is no doubt about the fact that it had to affect the concentration of these players. Some players said they were angry, others said they were frustrated at the NCAA ruling, and Wednesday, as you mentioned, they didn't even know if they were going to play this ball game. It has been an ongoing investigation, and it is one that has had a definite impact not only on the players but on the coaches, as Tom Osborne told me earlier just how much.
We spent a lot of time as a staff, and I did personally, trying to get a response together for a hearing that was scheduled out in Colorado Springs on August 17th. It was then subsequently postponed or canceled, and And but we did spend a lot of time on it. And then, of course, the last few days have been a little bit hectic. You know, even at one point, the game being somewhat in jeopardy or in doubt. And naturally, that affected the players a little bit more. But I think that after a period of 24 hours, that things kind of settled down, and we really didn't lose that much.
This has been a tough preseason for Nebraska. First, the loss of Doug DeBose, the Heisman Trophy candidate, out with a knee injury. That would hurt any team. Then the NCAA ruling. But I think this is just the kick in the pants this Nebraska team needs to get off to a quick start. They can rally around this adversity. Now, this is a young team, but it is also a very deep team. It is raw talent, and it is young, but it is deep. And the key player there is quarterback Steve Taylor. Now, last year, Nebraska completed only 55 passes all year. Steve Taylor can run, and he can throw. And it is that double threat that concerns Florida State's coach, Bobby Bowden.
The thing I think that can make them a great ball club again, Nebraska, like they were, is a Turner Gill at quarterback. And if Taylor becomes that guy, or Clayton, or one of them, I think they're in, you know. Now, the best thing could happen to us if we could pressure this young man. There'll be times when we will try, you know, and then we might see that he might be one of those guys that can kill you with pressure. But we're going to try to test him both ways, and I'm sure they're going to test Chip both ways, and let's see who can protect the quarterback the best. Going to be the key.
Series record between these two teams covered only 4 games in the contract. This will finish it. Florida State has won 2 out of the 3 times here in Lincoln in this stadium. And tonight's ball game, an ABC Sports exclusive, being brought to you by Nissan. Test drive the new Nissan hard-body trucks at your Nissan dealer now. By STP Corporation, on the world's racetracks, on the world's roads. STP, your car care company. By Sears New Century, come see all the ways we've changed and all the ways we haven't. And by the American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
National championship. Let's take a look at what happened to 6 other teams which are also regarded as having a chance. In a battle between 2 contenders, Oklahoma, ranked number 1, smashed UCLA at home 38-3. Another game between 2 potential contenders, Miami beat Florida at Florida 23-15, snapping a 21-game unbeaten home string for the Gators. Alabama won for the second time, beating Vanderbilt 42-10, and Penn State, in its first ever night home game, has jumped out to an early lead of 24-0 in the second quarter against Temple. Now to Keith Jackson in Lincoln.
Well, let's see how high the feathers fly as Dale Klein, the senior kicker from Seward, Nebraska, will knock it deep to Keith Ross and Darrell Holloman. Kicking from the 35-yard line. It comes down to Holloman. The junior from Tallahassee has got a hole up the middle. He comes out to the 25, and that's where the Seminoles will go to work with this offensive alignment. And the young man, Chip Ferguson, at quarterback figures to be very important, particularly on a wet, cool night. Chip Ferguson is a sophomore, but he is a very good field general with a multi-offense to work from. So let's see what happens as Chip comes out looking for his 3rd consecutive win, I guess it is, a 4th consecutive win as a starting quarterback. He stepped in when Danny McManus was injured a year ago and did a fine job for Bobby Bowden Seminoles. From the 26-yard line. Carrying the ball is Victor Floyd at 6 foot 195, a sophomore out of Pensacola, is brought down by the middle guard, Danny Noonan. Danny Noonan and Chris Bachman are 2 potential All-Americans. The All-Americans last year, in some people's opinion, and Timmy, they are 2 horses on the defensive front.
Keith, they really are. Bachman and Noonan. Now, if they occupy 3 offensive linemen, if it takes 3 offensive linemen for Florida State to block them, then the advantage, obviously, right away, would go to Nebraska.
Ball is given away. The man carrying the ball is Dane Williams. He bounces outside and almost got around the corner, but that's a good defensive play by the linebacker Mark Munford coming off knee surgery. Remarkable comeback for Mark, and one of the premier players at that position in the country. The 2 Nebraska linebackers are really something. Munford and Kevin Parsons. They're both big enough, and they're both quick enough to do almost anything asked of them by their defensive coach, Charlie McBride.
They say from that knee surgery that Munford lost a step. You couldn't tell on that play because one thing he has is experience. No false steps, goes immediately to the football.
3rd down after a loss of 2. 3rd down and 12, and into the middle goes Victor Floyd again. And Floyd pops it out of there. The ball pops away from him. It's still rolling around and is finally covered by Florida State. Mark Selva, the right guard, got upfield, chasing that elusive wet pigskin, and he brought it down in Florida State possession, and it'll be first down for the Seminoles.
You know, one of the keys here for Florida State is having played a football game. They had an opportunity to work out the wrinkles, to iron out some of the problems. Now, last week against Toledo, they fumbled the ball 5 times and lost 3 of those. Here's the fumble. They get this one back, and actually it helps them out. They not only have the first down, but now they're in Nebraska territory.
Yeah, they picked up 12 yards on the fumble from the 43-yard line. Chip Ferguson's first pass of the night. He's got a man wide open, number 24, Darren Holloman. Darren is not all that big, 5'7", 170, but he is so quick, and when Ferguson can find him among all the giants out there on the field, he can be exciting.
Bobby Bowden says this youngster, Chip Ferguson, is going to be as good as the other 2 Florida quarterbacks, Testaverde and Kerwin Bell. He is poised. The challenge will be whether he can read the defenses. Now, Nebraska stays in a basic defense, but they try to disguise everything they do and confuse Ferguson.
It's first down, Florida State. Just outside the Nebraska 30-yard line, Ferguson hands the ball off to Floyd. Floyd trying to weak side it, come back over on a misdirection to the left side, but Danny Noonan, 6'4", 280-pound senior from Lincoln, is there to meet him. Tom Osborne, a brilliant career, quiet man, lovely man. He really is. At times, if you don't know him, you think he's almost unemotional about this thing, but he believes in keeping an even tempo on the sidelines, and if he's going to do it, he's got to be that way himself, and he is. It is second down and 10 at the 30 of Nebraska. The Seminoles with their first threat of the ball game. And Ferguson drops on second down. He goes down the middle with it. Floyd is there. He's got it. Touchdown, Florida State.
Ferguson to number 27, Victor Floyd.
A post pattern with the tailback carrying himself down the middle, and a perfect pass by Ferguson in front of Siebler.
Keith, you always have to look for that number 2 receiver. He's the most dangerous person on that offensive scheme. They put 2 receivers out to the right side. Floyd came right down the middle of the zone and split the seam and was wide open for the touchdown.
He took a lick at the goal line, but being a tailback, he carried it on through once he had his hands on the ball. Derek Schmidt for the extra point. He has never missed one. Never. High school or college. 89 and for 89. Hooked it a little bit, but he got it through it as a flag. There's a penalty flag thrown. So let's see whether or not the point will stand at 12:11 to go in the first quarter. The referee tonight is Paul Schmidt, out of the Southern Independent Association, I believe he is. Umpire is John Linebeck. You'd have a split crew, Big 8 at Southern Independence. Jim Brasher, a head linesman. Paul Brown, the line judge. It's going to be against Florida State. Bobby Bernard, the field judge. Michael Borgard, the side judge.
We have a legal procedure. We did not have enough men on the offensive line of scrimmage, 5 yards.
So they attack 5 onto him, and Bobby Bowden now is walking around looking for the special teams coach saying, what are you doing? Get him up there.
These are the problems they were supposed to have worked out this past week.
Ball is put down at the 15. The kick by Schmidt is up again, and he's good again. So he keeps his string intact. He's 90 for 90 on extra points. And so at 12:11 to go in the first quarter, Florida State takes the opening kickoff, and they stick it in the end zone. There's Victor Floyd, the young man that hauled in that 30-yard pass for the touchdown to put the Seminoles on top 7-0. Ferguson 2 out of 2 in that possession, 43 yards, including the TD. And now the Seminoles will kick off to Nebraska with Vaughn Shepard and Terry Rogers deep. Derek Schmidt will do the kicking. Keith Jones normally would be the man returning the kicks, but he's got to be the I-back because of the injury to Doug DuBose. The kick falls at the 9-yard line, taken by Vaughn Shepard. And Shepard out of St. Paul, Minnesota, with a good, strong run back. Comes outside the 30 to the 33. This is the way the Huskers line up. And we noted that Jones has got to be the I-back with DuBose gone. He'll be very important. But it is the young man at quarterback, Steve Taylor, a sophomore out of the San Diego area in California, that has to pull the trigger for this Nebraska team.
And you can bet the ranch on it that Florida State is going to try to get in his face quickly. You may see some stunts and blitzes. They're going to mix up their coverages and try to confuse him.
He's got it. Taylor turns around the corner and heads up the sidelines for the first down as he goes to the 48-yard line, and that's exactly what Bobby Bowden was talking about when he said he was worried to death over him. The defensive alignment for the Florida State. And those inside linebackers, Jones and McGowan, will be a key, I think, for the Seminoles, don't you?
Absolutely. You know, the coaches told the middle guard, Thomas Harp, if he doesn't make a play all day, don't worry about it. Just occupy the blockers so McGowan and Jones can get in the pursuit lanes and make the hits.
Dana Brinson comes in at a wingback spot now. Sophomore from Valdosta, Georgia. Turned upfield too soon, but he got away with it. The handoff goes to the high back Keith Jones, who's in there at about 195 pounds, a junior from Omaha, and he is brought down by the nose guard of Florida State, Thomas Harp. Thomas is not exactly a small fella. You've got to take 4 or 5 steps to get around him. He's 6'1", 285 pounds.
He also has pretty good speed. You watch him. He's got good mobile ability.
2nd down and 7 now. It's for Nebraska. As the rain for the moment appears to have stopped. Ball goes to Keith Jones. Slips away from one tackler, gets down to about the 45. And the young man working the sidelines as our reporter this year in college football is Al Troutwig. And let's go join Al right now.
Keith, a few minutes ago, I couldn't help but think Tim Brandt picked a heck of a night to leave the sidelines and come to the booth. It was raining, but it has now stopped. The field, however, is still very slippery. Oh, Todd. See what I mean? Back to you.
Well, at least he didn't get a stomach burn out of it. 3rd down and 2. Ball just inside the 45. Steve Taylor with the ball. Got his helmet about the marker, but I think the ball is going to come up a half a yard short as Paul McGowan, one of those inside backers, and the free safety Greg Newell bring him down. Those two numbers, 55 and 38, Jones and McGowan, you're going to see those numbers all night, so let's get familiar with them right now.
The key is no false steps. His first immediate move is toward that football. He gets over, gets in the line of traffic, and although he doesn't make the play, he clogs things up, gets in the way, and helps pursue.
4th down, Nebraska's going for it. They're gambling. The ball is out at the 42-yard line. They go inside. Jones, second effort, just barely gets the first down. That is a gamble this early in the ball game. The team down 7-0. He bounced off Thomas Hart and was able to get the first down. Well, I'll tell you, Tom Osborne with that quiet approach to the game, but there are times when he's a riverboat gambler, and this is one of them.
Tom Osborne, one of the most successful coaches in college football, has a burr under his saddle because he lost to this club in the opener last year.
Very true. It is a first down. The ball is at the 41-yard line. Kalen, the fullback, has it. Big Ken Kalen hammers his way to about the 36. He succeeded Tom Rathman, and a year ago in the Florida State game, Rathman had a big play in that ball game, and Tom is now with the San Francisco 49ers.
4th play from scrimmage. Rathman broke it off and scored early against Florida State. Big play there, but Kalen played in all 11 games last year. He was a walk-on in 1982. Played 8-man football in high school. A lot different here in Nebraska.
He's number 49. Keith Jones is the I-back. He's number 6. And in motion comes Vaughn Shepard. And Taylor's looking for the pass. Gets it off. Pass is caught by Stitzler. Jason Gamble it is. Jason Gamble had come in at the wide receiver spot, split in. He may have fumbled. He did. Florida State's got it. So on the hit, Gamble lost control of the football, and the Seminoles come up with a turnover.
Forget the fumble for a second. This is a young quarterback, and this is the dimension that we were talking about that is going to make this a much tougher offensive football team. He rolls to the right and immediately sees his receiver and throws across his body. A difficult pass, but he has his man in the hook zone, and it's complete. It was 4 fumbles last year for Nebraska. That lost that game, at least was a main part of that loss. It'll be Florida State's football when we come back.
Keith Jackson and Lincoln.
7-0 Florida State, just under 9 minutes remaining to play in the first quarter of the ball game as the Seminoles recover the Nebraska fumble down the wrong 23-yard line. Pass was completed to Gamble. Jason coughed it up on the hit, and now Chip Ferguson sets him from the 23. Stands up, quick pop pass, good, caught by Herb Gaynor, and the junior from Sarasota is across the 35 to the 36. Boris Becker beaten today in the U.S. Open tennis tournament. All 4 of the finalists is men and women, are Czechoslovakians.
First down and 10. The ball is on the 36.
Florida State, freewheeling offense, moving the football against Nebraska here in the first quarter. Huskers hurt themselves with a turnover. First down, just over the 36. Ferguson hands the ball off. Goes to Dane Williams, a big sophomore out of Fruitland Park, Florida. At 225 pounds, he's knocked down at the 34, so he's going to lose about 2 yards. We talked about Danny Noonan and Chris Bachman, the two defensive linemen, the keys for Nebraska's defense. Have a look at them. 76 and 95.
They're being tackled is what they're doing. Noonan takes him out anyway after he was tackled. They're double teaming these two guys occasionally, and the old adage is 2 men on me, somebody's got to be free.
Ferguson, quick two-stepper, pops it again to Gaynor. Gaynor shakes one and then takes a heck of a lick up around the 44-yard line by Charles Fryer. Fryer really hit him, but Gaynor pops right up just short of the first down.
That old Bobby Bowden, he is slick as they come. He knows he had to rebuild his offensive line. He knows Nebraska traditionally has a good defense, and old Danny Noonan is there, so you know what he's doing. He's got Chip Ferguson taking a real quick three-step drop and getting rid of the ball before Nebraska can come across that line of scrimmage.
It is third down and 2 for the Seminoles. Floyd and Williams are set wide. Want to throw it again. This time Gaynor missed connections. He had him. He was available. He certainly was, and the pass was right on the money, and Gaynor apparently broke the play because all he had to do was stop, and he had the first down. So in comes Lewis Berry now to do the punting for Florida State. He's a good one of the best in the country. Going deep, Vaughn Shepard. And number 33, Dana Brinson. The two wingbacks will do the punt returning. Berry's kick is away. Not a particularly good one. He had to reach a little bit to get it, and he never got his rhythm, and he does not come up with a particularly good punt. The ball is marked out at the Nebraska 29, with Florida State leading 7-0.
Fixing this one.
Lewis Berry leaves Nebraska first down at their own 29-yard line. And now the Huskers will have their huddle, and they'll go to work with 7 minutes and 43 seconds remaining to play in this first period. They're playing all of their players tonight. Next Tuesday will be a decision on what kind of a penalty will be assessed against the Huskers. How many players might have to sit down because of the infraction on admissions to the game, the complimentary admissions. The handoff goes to the I-back Keith Jones. Jones up to about the 31. Earlier today, I was visiting with Tom Osborne, and into the conversation came the question as to whether or not controlling those admissions is an enforceable rule. Most coaches say no.
Well, it's difficult, and the NCAA investigators, when they first came in, said it was unenforceable. They said, don't worry about it. Now we got something to worry about. But we think the penalty is a little bit excessive, and what I'd like to see happen, Keith, would be to have the players find some passes, which here in Lincoln, Nebraska is a big deal because you can't even get your folks into a game if you don't have a pass. You can't buy a ticket. And the other thing I'd like to see maybe be some community service work. You know, kids will listen in the area of drug education, 5th, 6th graders, 7th, 8th graders. When our kids go into the schools, they'll listen. I'd like to take a couple days off practice and maybe do some kind of work like that. I think that would be appropriate. But to take eligibility away, I think, is too harsh in this case.
Comments of the Nebraska coach Tom Osborne, and you just saw Vaughn Shepard, the wingback, take that football in a little misdirection play, the old wingback counter, and he found a hole over there, got out there, and got a heck of a block from somebody that cleared him to pick up a first down for the Huskers up on the 46.
That somebody was young Keith Jones. They sent him in motion, new offensive scheme that Nebraska showed Florida State that time.
Going in motion this time is Brinson, the wingback, turns it upfield. Down the line comes Taylor, but the ball is given away to the fullback, Kalin. And Kalin crosses into Seminole territory to the 46. Brought down by Greg Newell. Newell at 195, Kalin at 225.
They say the biggest improvement of a football team comes between the first and second weeks of the season. Florida State obviously has played a game, had a chance to iron out the problems, shake out the wrinkles. Nebraska has not, and thus far, Florida State offensively looks a little bit sharper than does Nebraska.
Look at this, another new alignment Nebraska is showing. As Taylor fakes it, was gonna go down the line with it, but number 79, big Gerald Nichols, who is one of the fine defensive tackles in the country, 260-pounder out of St. Louis, decked him.
Brought in 2 tight ends, went to a power I formation with all 3 in the backfield, but Gerald Nichols, big, strong senior, the only returning starter from last year on that defensive line, 260 pounds. Good nucleus to build around.
It is 3rd down now, and call it 2. Taylor coming on the option, turns upfield, gets just enough leverage to pick up the 1st down as he will be marked inside the 42. Fred Jones, the inside backer, brought him down. Fred is 6'3", 240, a senior out of Miami. Taylor is 5'11", 195, a sophomore from San Diego.
Nebraska has to go back to the pass a little bit more. They've thrown one time, it was complete, and they lost the fumble. They can't shy away from it. They completed only 55 passes last year, and when a team doesn't throw, the defense can surround you. Load up.
Just inside the 42, 1st down for the Huskers. Back to the straight I formation now. Schnitzler is wide. Taylor stands up, wings it over there. Pass is thrown to Shepard. Shepard is grabbed just short of the line of the 1st down markers. So they'll be looking now at 2nd down and about 1. The key man, of course, was to be Doug Dubose, I-back for Nebraska, down, and his career perhaps at the college level ended by a knee injury. Let's spend a moment with him as he talks with Al Troutwig.
Okay, Keith. Doug, this must be a very difficult time for you.
Oh, yeah, it's real hard watching my teammates play a game and knowing I'm supposed to be out here my last year, and I really wanted to play with these guys on my last year going out.
Doug, how has it affected the way you're going to prepare now for what lies ahead? You've got a lot of work to get that knee back in shape, and now your professional chances may be hurt.
Oh, well, I think it's going to make me work a little bit harder. I don't think it's hurt my professional chances at all. You know, I really never had to work for nothing. Everything all my life as a running back has came kind of easy to me. And now that I got this injury, you know, made me realize a lot of things. And I think I'm going to work my leg as hard as I ever worked before. And I know when I work, I only come out and a lot of good things happen to me. So I'm expecting good things to happen to me when I come back.
All right, Doug, have a good rehabilitation.
Thank you.
Keith?
Thank you, Al. 1st down for Nebraska at the Florida State 29 as the quarterback Steve Taylor picked it. That'll get a flag. Ken Kalen lost his concentration and broke the play. This is a no counter. Won't count. Pass was caught by Ray Nelson in the end zone, but everybody in the stadium saw Ken Kalen move too soon, and it wipes it out.
It showed me something about Steve Taylor, though. They always teach you if you're going to make a mistake, make it full speed. Even though the whistle had blown and the flags were flying, he went ahead, carried the play out, and threw it.
And completed it.
And completed it. You'll see here the fullback jumps. All right, now the fullback does stop rather than just digging into the hole. That's when somebody can get hurt. Taylor, though, carries out the play.
Against the offense.
Well, I think the impressive thing about him here, though, is he throws that ball on the run, and he throws it right on the money. That's a strong arm. So they are assessed the 5 yards to make it 1st down and 15. The ball back to the 34. Go back to the power I. Taylor still got it. Turns upfield. He's excited. He's down to about the 27-yard line, and he took a lick, and he's slow to get up, but he's hit hard by Stanley Shiver. And he is as hard a hitter as you're going to find on the field.
Coaches say that he can be the best quarterback ever in Nebraska. He idolized former Husker Turner Gill. You can see his speed. He's got very good feet. He also has good eyes, and that's what it takes to be a good quarterback, or a good athlete, for that matter. He reads things. He feels things. He's got what they call fast twitch muscle fibers. He can dart in a second.
Say what?
I don't know. It sounds good.
1st down, Taylor. Taylor back, gives to Jones. Jones is grabbed right at the line of scrimmage. And Thomas Harp is the man making the penetration on the 2nd down play and brings him down.
Thomas Harp, 55.
Ball is just short of the 33-yard line, and so now Nebraska is looking at 3rd down and about 10. Time remaining in the 1st quarter of play. Florida State leading by a score of 7-0. Took the opening kickoff right down the field and put it in the end zone. Rob Schnitzler and Vaughn Shepard are the wide people now for the Huskers. They're strong right. Jones looked like he wanted to blitz, but the long count got him outside Jones. Jones hit behind the line of scrimmage by Deion Sanders, number 2. A fiery sophomore out of Fort Myers, Florida. Another outstanding athlete for the Seminoles. Dale Klein is coming on with the kicking tee now as Nebraska will make an effort to get on the board with a 50-yard field goal. The tee is put down on the 40.
This is an important field goal for Dale Klein. He's the kind of kid, he came out and set an NCAA record 7 for 7 against Missouri, but he also is streaky. If he misses his first one, he'll play a game of mental gymnastics with himself, and he gets shaky.
Make it a 49-yard field goal as they move the tee up a yard. Cleet Bakeman will do the holding. He is a quarterback. The snap is good, the hold is good, the kick is up. And he couldn't squeeze enough distance out of it from 49 yards. It is just short and slightly to the right, perhaps. And so the Nebraska Cornhuskers are turned away at 1:50 to go in the first quarter.
PI poll, Tennessee is without 10 players tonight in the wake of a Knoxville Journal report that they were guilty of the same kind of ticket transgressions which almost cost Nebraska half its team. Shouldn't be a problem at home against New Mexico with more than 90,000 in the stands. Keith Davis has a 46-yard run, and replacement field goal kicker Phil Rich on for the suspended Carlos Rivez kicked a field goal. 10-0 Tennessee in the second quarter. Keith?
And here in Lincoln, the rain is still quiet, though it is still a wet, very cool, gray evening as darkness now begins to settle across the Nebraska plains, and Florida State leading 7-0 with a football just outside the 32-yard line. Floyd and Williams are the split backs for the Seminoles, and Chip Ferguson, the quarterback, to throw it. He goes to the sideline, and the pass is caught. Was it caught? No. It almost was a reception by Floyd and a fumble, but the official right there said no, he never had control of it as Brian Davis, the quarterback, laid a lick on him.
And if there's any doubt, of course, it's an incompletion in the rule book. But this is Ferguson, who takes a pretty good look after he delivers the ball. But again, the pass is on the money. It was a tough catch for Floyd and pulled it in over his left shoulder. And then, of course, the defensive back who read the play. Wide as the widest, deep as the deepest, out of that Nebraska zone defense, came in and made the lick and separated him from the ball.
Ferguson is now 4 out of 6 on this passing. Second down and 10. Ball is given away to Victor Floyd. Finds some daylight over the left side of the line. And you know what? That's the third time now that Florida State has found some running room over the left side or defensive right side of the Nebraska line. Lee Jones and Tony Holloway are the people on that side for Nebraska. They're not messing too much with Messrs. Spockman and Noonan right at the moment.
That's very wise on the part of Florida State.
It's third down and about 6. It'll be a short 6 for the Noles. Ball is out near the 37. Ferguson back, a quick drop, looks around. Now he puts it away to the sidelines, and the pass is incomplete. Thrown out of bounds. Herb Gaynor was over there, but Gaynor got one hand on it, and that was all, as he had good coverage by Nebraska. So it's fourth down and Lewis Berry now will come back to front. His first kick was a 26-yarder. The two people going deep. We'll see if they send two this time. We see that Dana Brinson, wingback, is back there, and he's back there by himself this time. They got 10 men on the line of scrimmage. 10 red shirts up there. They're going after Berry. Good protection for Lewis. Gets the kick away. And Brinson makes a mistake. I think he lets the ball bounce. He picked it up and took off. And he is picked off at about the 22-yard line. I think he sensed that their thing might be opening up a bit. Florida State might give him a chance to pop out of there with it.
Keith, you're exactly right, though, when you say that's a mistake. There are 4 don'ts of the kicking game. Don't be off sides. Don't rough the kicker. Don't let the ball hit the ground and then don't clip. He let the ball hit the ground and should have made the catch.
So it is first down for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Ball up near their 23. And you've got Kalen and Jones lined up behind Steve Taylor. No, it is not Jones. Kalen. It's Micah Heibel and John Kelly. So the second combination is in there right now for Nebraska. John Kelly, the I-back, and Micah Heibel, the fullback. Well, ABC Sports will premiere the first presentation of Monday Night Football with the New York Giants and the Dallas Cowboys coming out of Texas next Monday at 9 Eastern Time. Expecting to see Herschel Walker get some action in that ball game. Ball goes to John Kelly. John is a 205-pound junior out of Lincoln, Nebraska. Micah Heibel is 220 pounds. He, too, is a junior and also from Lincoln, Nebraska.
Third down 1. The ball is on the 31.
It's unusual, I think, to find two players of that quality both coming from the same hometown. And it happens to be the hometown of their university. The first quarter is over. So after 15 minutes of play in Lincoln, the Florida State Seminoles lead the Cornhuskers by a 7-0 score.
This man is not...
As we begin the second quarter of play at Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, the Cornhuskers have the football. Third down, 1.5 yards. Florida State sets up a 5-man defensive front. Third down and 1.5 yards. And keeping it is Taylor, flips it out now to Kelly, and John Kelly hits the chalk for a first down out around the 37-yard line. That was a late pitch and could have gone awry, but it didn't. It worked for the first down.
Let's go! Let's go! First down and 10.
Nebraska seems to move the football, Tim, with some degree of success until they get about the 30-yard line or so of Florida State, and then it gets the door shuts on them. It has so far. They have one turnover in the game when they look like they might be able to go ahead and score some points. On first down, the handoff goes to John Kelly, gets a block around the corner. Penalty flag goes down as Kelly gets to about the 41.
There is a penalty flag on the play.
Martin Mayhew was over there and whacked him down. Paul Schmidt, the referee, will define the penalty for us. Clipping.
Preliminary signal is clipping.
You could see that clip coming from the outside man. It was a crackback block pretty much, and he just hit low and behind the guy. Keith, you make an interesting point, but I've got that feeling, and maybe you do too, that when Nebraska scores, the floodgates will open. They had the ball 9 minutes and 59 seconds of that first quarter.
Well, we felt that last year in a 17-13 ball game, and that was the score at halftime and came out in the second half.
Clipping against the offense. First down.
Every time the Huskers got down in the neighborhood where they could do something, they'd make a mistake. And turned the ball over 4 times, I guess it was. Florida State had 6 turnovers themselves last week. So far tonight, they've been clean on it. First down, the ball is up around the 23, and they've got to go out near the 47 to get their first down. Steve Taylor on a straight drop goes down the middle with it, and it is incomplete. Martin Mayhew, number 32, was covering Rod Smith on the play.
Man-to-man coverage on that side, and I'll guarantee I'd complain too. I thought there was pass interference. Here's the bump now. You can't do that. And look at the left arm. That's the one that's critical. Incidental contact, both going for the ball. That's fair. Both players have a right to that football. But when you bring up that left arm, boy, look out. The flag should fly. And I thought he had a legitimate gripe there.
But no official response to it. It's second down and about 24. Is given off to the fullback, Micah Heibel, number 48. His forward progress is going to be good for a yard or so out around the 24, where Fred Jones and Gerald Nichols gang up on him.
Those guys are scary.
I'll tell you what, Jones and McGowan get their ears laid back and get a crack to come at you. They will just take your head off.
They know the difference between come here and sick 'em, I'll tell you that.
Where'd you learn that? You're from Maryland. You don't talk like that up there. Third down and 24 now. Jones, 55, jumps into the crack. Now he drops off. Taylor goes back to throw. No pressure on him. The pass is away. The pass is almost intercepted. Mayhew, number 32, was the man that had the best chance to hold on to the ball. Eric Williams was the one who made the first contact. So the quarterback Williams deflects it just enough. Mayhew can't come down with it. So John Croker is in now to do the punting and hitting the football for the first time as a varsity player. John is a sophomore from Henderson, Nebraska, an outstanding high school player here in the state of Nebraska. Deion Sanders, the deep man, number 2 for Florida State. Kick is away, kind of slides off the side of his foot. Sanders fields it at the 43. And wiggles around for a while, finally knocked down at the 44. That's a 34-yard punt by Croker on his first varsity kick. We've got 13:34 to go in the first half, and Florida State leads Nebraska 7-0. Cornhuskers All-American wide receiver Irving Fryer played a major role in that game. The score was 10-7 at the time Fryer accepted this punt. He took off on an 82-yard touchdown gallop. Nebraska scored 2 touchdowns in less than 10 seconds on this run, and a fumble recovery and a run for a TD. Nebraska marched on for a 34-14 victory and a trip to the Orange Bowl. Charles Fryer, number 10, defensive back for Nebraska, cousin of Irving Fryer, the All-American wide receiver here at Nebraska. Florida State has a new tailback now. Keith Ross is in there. He's a speedster, sophomore out of Newberry, 185-pounder. You give him a little daylight, it's see you later. Ball is just outside the 44 of the Seminoles. Good field position. They lead 7-0. Williams remains the fullback. Well, that's a greeting for Keith Ross, isn't it? Ball was stuck in his tummy just about the time Chris Bachman arrived, and I'll guarantee you, Keith wasn't going anywhere with Chris Bachman a hold of it.
He's fun to watch. I'll tell you, he does everything fundamentally right. I mean, you're supposed to keep that low center of gravity, tuck that tail, and get across the line of scrimmage quickly. He does that, and then when he comes up to hit you, boy, I'm telling you, he puts a punch into it.
Loss of 2, back to the 42. 2nd down and 12 for the Seminoles. Look out for Pat Carter, the big tight end. Great athlete. Hasn't seen the ball tonight. Might drag him down the middle. Back goes Chip Ferguson. They had him wide open. They throw instead to the fullback, Dane Williams, and Williams running for the marker. I think they mark him just short of it. And, Tim, they had Pat Carter wide open down the middle.
That's a good call, and they've got to get to him. Let's go back up in the stands now and get a wide view of what it looks like from the seats, the cheap seats here at Nebraska. This is what it looks like here, and of course there's the play action, and Ferguson comes back. What they did is they cleared out that side, and he just slipped under the coverage.
Just short of the 1st down. 3rd down and a half yard. I don't know if I'd want that seat or not.
I'm not sure I would either. I said the cheap sheets.
Fullback goes inside with it, trying for the 1st down. Dane Williams, a 225-pounder, and it just depends on whether it's a left foot or a right foot mark. And he's got the right foot down, and he may not have it. They're going to measure.
Timeout for measurement.
Keith, while they're measuring, you know that completion that they just had was in the zone area of Charles Fryer, and he's playing in his first varsity game. He's playing with 1 sprained hand and 1 broken hand.
He's short. Now, if he'd have marked that with his left foot, it'd been a 1st down, but he didn't. So now it's Bobby Bowden's turn to make the decision. Go for it or what? Tom Osborne made it to go and got it. And Bobby Bowden is going to go for it.
This is where Bobby gets foxy, too. You don't know what he's going to do in a situation like this.
Well, he's loaded the field with tight ends. He's got 3 tight ends out there right now for blocking. Pitch it to Ross. Ross on a sweep, didn't make it. He did not make it. The entire defensive flow to the left side. Broderick, Thomas, and Chris Bachman coming over there. Thomas, a sophomore. And Bachman, of course, a senior. They buried the play.
One of the big concerns that Florida State had in the offseason was rebuilding that offensive line. They lost Jamie Dukes. They lost John Ionata. You can see the difference here. Only 2 of 9 Florida State runs have gone for plus yardage. Here again, great pursuit by the Nebraska defense. They come across, establish a new line of scrimmage, beat everybody on that line of scrimmage, make the contact, and take them back. Oh, my, that's a big play.
Huskers ball at their own 47.
America rides. But tonight, that team is struggling against Mississippi State at home. Mississippi State led for most of the first half with 3 seconds left in the half. Syracuse quarterback Don McPherson with a 9-yard pass to Pat Kelly. And at halftime, the Orangemen lead in the Carrier Dome, 17-14. Back to Keith Jackson.
Here in Lincoln, Nebraska, it's a 7-0 ball game. The Husker defense rose up and stopped the Seminoles on the 4th down try, get the ball back, 1st down at their own 47. Steve Taylor, outstanding as a starting quarterback in tonight's game, 6 out of 33. Leading Florida State's total offense because the FSU total right now is only 31 yards. So Taylor will pull the trigger. Nebraska's loaded up on the right side, and he goes that way. And his pass zinged. Incomplete as Vaughn Shepard, the junior out of St. Paul, Minnesota. The wingback fell down, and I think he had him if he had been able to keep his feet.
Second down, 10.
Taylor's passing is 2 out of 5 for 23 yards. But you saw earlier on the touchdown that was called back because of the penalty that he threw that ball about 35 yards, roped it on the run. So he is very strong. Second down and 10. All right. Right-handed ball club most of the time. They break the play and come to the left side. The wingback, when you see that wingback coming this way, oftentimes you can expect him to get it on a counter to the tight side, but that time Taylor kept the ball as Brinson was in motion and Gerald Nichols brought him down. The pickup on the play is about 3 yards. It'll be 3rd down and 7.
Florida State is just loading up now. They're putting everybody up in close because they've got that feeling they're going to run. Now, they've been playing a 2-deep zone. The way to attack it is in the middle.
There is daylight down the middle, no question about it. Taylor rolls it right. Pulls it down and takes off with it. Now he throws it incomplete just as he gets to the sideline.
Pass from Taylor intended.
Flag on the far side of the field.
46. Jason Campbell, incomplete, a penalty flag.
Past the line of scrimmage when he threw the ball. When he turned upfield, the marker was right in front of him, but he was searching for somebody to throw the ball to and didn't see the marker, and he took about a step and a half past the marker, or past the line of scrimmage.
He's an interesting talent, though, isn't he? Shattered all of the rushing records of Marcus Allen in San Diego's Lincoln High School. Also broke all the passing records of Marcus Allen's brother Damon.
We have an illegal forward pass against the offense beyond the neutral zone. Loss of down, 4th down.
So on 4th down, John Croker is in for his second punt as a Cornhusker. His first one was 34 yards. Deion Sanders is back. He ran around for a while, but actually totaled on to 2 yards on the punt return. But he's dangerous. Penalty flag goes as the punt is away, and it's a good one this time. Sanders back at the 15. Gets away from a couple, but now he is dropped back around the 12-yard line. A 38-yard punt with pretty good hang time. That time, Rod Smith downfield to make the tackle. Let's see about the penalty. Offside, Florida State. It'll be the Seminoles' ball. Back around the 11-yard line. I would think Nebraska would decline that penalty because it's not really going to help them in the area of possession, and they've got the Seminoles backed up well in their own territory. Let's go to Al Trotwig for this special story. You'll enjoy it.
Keith, you know, when the silk turns brown, it's harvest time on the cornfields, and the men of Nebraska, the farmers, like Ed McKay, who's been a farmer for 70 years, are really what the Cornhuskers are all about. But speed on the field and here is very important. George, show us how you do it. Unbelievable. George, that was very quick. But you know, these are tough times for farmers. George, how many bushels of corn are you trying to sell right now?
Oh, I bet in the United States are millions of bushels that we'd like to get rid of. We have a terrible surplus of all grains.
All right, George. Keith, back to you. That's a speedy Husker.
Indeed he is. A little drop pass out in the flat is dropped by the fullback, Dane Williams, swinging it out there. He would have had 6 or 7 yards had he been able to hang on to it. That, however, is not why Nebraska is called Cornhusker. Cornhusker was originally used by the University of Iowa. Then they chose eventually Hawkeyes down there. And there was a couple of sports editors in this area that liked the term Cornhusker, so they started calling Nebraska Cornhuskers, and it stuck. But I'll tell you one thing. Ain't nobody quicker than that, what we just saw in getting the corn off the stalk.
I like that. You're impressive. Fiction in fact from Keith's Almanac.
On second down and 10, Chip Ferguson from the goal line throws the swing pass out. Loss on the play as Keith Ross brings it up to about the 9, and he was lucky to get that far. And the Nebraska defensive people now are really beginning to swarm.
Well, Jeff Tomczak, the cornerback on that side, read the play immediately, came up and really made a nice stick on the running back that time.
Let me tell you, Jeff Tomczak's got to be a pretty good football player because he's starting ahead of Brian Washington, who started here at Nebraska as a freshman, and you can count on the fingers of one hand the number of freshmen who have started at Nebraska.
He's also 6'1", 220 pounds. That's big for a cornerback.
It's 3rd down and 12 from the 9. Chip Ferguson hands the ball to Keith Ross. Ross isn't going anywhere. Huskers really punishing. They really jumped him that time, trying to knock him loose with the football, but couldn't do that. However, it brings up 4th down, and Lewis Berry is going to be punting out of his end zone. Tony Holloway gets the first hit on Keith Ross on that defensive play. 26 and 44 yards, the 2 punts tonight by Lewis Berry. Berry averaged better than 43 last year. They need a big one here. He gets some pressure, but he gets it out and puts it way up into the night sky, all the way back to the Nebraska 49. And Brinson is going to lose yardage as he retreats, trying to find some help. And Dana Brinson is brought down back around the 46. That was a 41-yard punt by Lewis Berry. So Lewis has done his job. His team leads 7-0.
Stolen bases. 6.5 games in the American League West. Back to Keith Jackson.
A 7-0 ball game with that time, 9:56 remaining in the first half. Seminoles and Nebraska now settling into a defensive struggle after the Seminoles took the opening kickoff and put it in the end zone. It's Keith Jones and Ken Kalen in the I formation behind Steve Taylor for the Huskers. Looks to throw it. Gets it off to the sideline. Rob Schnitzler is over there, caught it out of bounds. Is that Schnitzler or is it? Yes, it is. And Deion Sanders is with him, but he went high in the air for the ball and came down out of bounds.
Let's see if we can see his feet now. Again, they go to the corner rather than going down the middle. I'd like to see him sneak somebody down there, but here again, he takes that little roll to the left and puts the ball right on the money. Now, here he comes. You only need 1 foot in. There it is.
Didn't have control.
Did not have control was the key to the play, is right.
Willie Griffin comes in at tight end now. For Nebraska, they go to a double tight end alignment at 9:50 to play in the first half and curving 7-0 on 2nd down and 10. Power I formation. Taylor drops back to throw the ball. Going down the middle with it. He's got a man open and it's overthrown. Todd Milliken, the tight end. He was 2 strides in front and home free, and the ball was just a little bit long.
They can do that all night long, I'm telling you. Florida State is playing a lot of 2 deep zones. There's 2 men back there, and you can take a guy and sneak him down the middle, and until they make a correction or change their defense, that play will be open.
Let me ask you this question now. Taylor threw the ball to a tight end, big man. Obviously not as fast as the wide receivers. Most of the deep passing practice probably is done to wide receivers. Faster people.
Call the play. Now, I'll disagree with you in a second.
3rd down and 10. Taylor again sets up, gets pressure, runs out of it. Got a lot of daylight. Deion Sanders gets in at the 20-yard line. 34-yard run.
Here's a ground level look at what we just saw. Again, he's got a man open, but he sees the pressure coming from both sides. Steps up into the pocket. Now this is where his speed comes in. Told you he broke all of Marcus Allen's running records in high school. Good juke, great speed, got to the corner. Now that's a pretty interesting read for a young sophomore. He read it quickly, felt the pressure, and got out of there.
First down, Nebraska, just short of the Florida State 20. Ball is kept by the quarterback, Taylor. He breaks loose. He scores. the Steve Taylor Show. In for the extra point, Dale Klein. Out of Blakeman's hold. It is up, and it is good.
The coaches say that this kid idolized Turner Gill. That's why he came to Nebraska. Turner Gill being one of the greatest quarterbacks here in Cornhusker history. But this one, I think, is going to be a tremendous quarterback. They say a player's greatness is determined by a long period of success. This is the beginning of the journey. We'll be back.
State Farm is there.
With 9:11 to play in the first half, Klein will kick off, and the deep people for Florida State will be Keith Ross and Darren Holloman. Now, Nebraska's defense has been dominating Florida State in the last 2 possessions. Let's see what the Seminoles can do. First off, they need some field position, and then we'll see what happens from there. Kicking off from the 35-yard line, college football this year. That's a rules change, the most obvious one. And Darren Holloman skitters and slides his way back out near the 28-yard line. And they do have reasonably good field position now as they go to work. The numbers there on the Nebraska scoring drive.
I think that's a good rule, too, kicking off from the 35, Keith, because they said they were having less than half the kickoffs return when they moved the football up, so they moved it back a little bit, and we're seeing more returns. It's exciting. I think it's one of the most exciting parts of the game, although I didn't like being on the kickoff team.
Sammy Smith is in for the first time tonight at tailback for Florida State, 220-pounder. Holloman's in at fullback. Chip Ferguson slips a little as he sets the pass, but delivers it, and it's complete to Pat Carter as tight end.
Boy, I used to hate that play when I was playing on the outside. They brought him from the right side and just dragged him across the middle all the way to the opposite side, underneath all the coverage. Now this guy, he's 251 pounds. Look at him. And when the pro scouts evaluated all the college talent last year in the country, they ranked him as the #2 tight end in the nation. Number 1, Jackson.
Oklahoma, second down and about 2. Ferguson gives to Sammy Smith, and Smith will have the first down. Smith, who has had a history of injuries since he arrived on campus, had a pretty good ball game a year ago here in the opener against Nebraska. Played quite well, but then got a stress fracture and was lost for the season. And he's had the flu, he's had this, he's had that, and he is not yet really sound. But they do have a first down at their own 34-yard line. Movement in the backfield for Florida State. Chip Ferguson breaks out of the pack and runs for about 7 or 8 yards, but I think you're going to get a penalty call here against Florida State. It is against the Seminoles, and while they mark off the penalty, let's talk about next Saturday. We'll be at South Bend, Indiana, one of the legendary places in all of college football, as the Michigan Wolverines move in. Michigan, the choice of some people to win the national championship this year.
Against the offense, first down.
It is also the debut of Lou Holtz as the head man of the Fighting Irish, and we'll be there next Saturday for you at 3 Eastern Time. The Fighting Irish of Notre Dame hosting the mighty Wolverines of Michigan. First down and 15 from the 34. As they're up, lose the 5 yards from the 39, and Ferguson shoots it down the middle. And Herb Gaynor had his hands on it, but Charles Fryer had his hands on Gaynor, and it was close to being too soon. Jerry Faust in his opening game as the head man of the Akron Zippers, and he's leading Salem 21-0.
We wish him well, too. He's
indeed
awfully nice man.
Nice man. 34-yard line, second down and 10 for the Seminoles, second down and 15 for the Seminoles. Quick pop goes to Tanner Holloman, the fullback, 205-pounder. David Palmer and Dane Williams play that position as well, and they are 225. But they were trying to pop Holloman, the quicker man, over the left side, and he didn't get a whole lot out of it.
Nebraska is controlling the line of scrimmage right now. That's been the difference. And the linebackers are filling the pursuit lanes as quickly as any linebackers we've seen. And this little number 10 out on the right corner for Nebraska, the cornerback Charles Fryer, is an impressive young athlete. He comes up quickly. He's playing with a sprained hand, a broken hand, and yet he's staying right in the hip pocket of the receiver and filling the outside quickly.
Florida State's running game hasn't produced a whole lot so far tonight. Ferguson wings one, and it is almost intercepted. Are they going to? Yes, they call it an interception.
TD Tallahassee.
One-hander, and there's a penalty flag on the far side of the field. A spectacular play by Brian Davis, but let's see about that yellow flag.
Brian Davis isn't that big, but I'll tell you what, this looks like a bear paw to scoop this up. Here's the shortstop, comes in and just nails it one-handed and pulls it in and hit the ground. That's not an interception.
They certainly called it one, and they've come up and marked the ball at the 43. It was offside Nebraska.
Yeah, but watch, it goes right through his hands.
Going to wipe it out.
With offsides against the defense, still third down.
Well,
they had that ball marked up on the 43 and pointing the other way.
I know they did. They got lucky.
Instead, the penalty wipes out what had been apparently an errant call, at least from the angle we could see. And Florida State retains the ball just over the 40, where it's third down, and call it 9. Chip Ferguson back. Heats off. Down he goes. Danny Noonan, 6'4", 280 pounds, and he is mobile and oftentimes hostile.
Mobile, hostile, and agile. Watch this now. You talk about dominating the line of scrimmage. He's off at the snap of that ball and has already established a new line of scrimmage 5 yards back in Florida State's defense. Double team. And he still slides off that, comes back in pursuit, and takes Ferguson down. Boy, that's a play. That's a football play.
It really is.
Hey, he's not a youngster. He's a full-grown man.
Ball is dropped by Lewis Perry, and a bad kick. He gets some height on it, however, and now the ball takes a Nebraska bounce and comes rolling back up the field. And it'll be put down at the 39-yard line, a 24-yard punt by Lewis Perry. One of the best punters in the country, but he's having a bit of a hard time tonight because I'm sure of the cold and the rain. He averaged better than 43 last season. He had 144 tonight, 141, but the other two have been in the 20s. Of course, I tell you, when you've dropped the ball, you're searching around for the ball, and you got 3 tons of beef, Nebraska beef coming at you. It tends to cause a little anxiety. 6:13 to play in the first half. Huskers have it, and Steve Taylor goes down the line with it, keeps it, and moves it up to the 44 for 5 yards, cut down by Deion Sanders. Remember that name, Deion Sanders, 6 feet, 180, a sophomore out of Fort Myers. You'll hear that a lot in years to come, I expect.
Tell you what kind of athlete Deion Sanders is. You've seen him here on the football field perform extremely well. He also is a 1985 fifth-round draft pick of the Kansas City Royals. Baseball.
Second down, 5. Huskers, 7-7 ball game. Pitch to Keith Jones. Daylight on the right side. First down at midfield. Running on that right side behind John McCormick, Tom Wilder, Mark Cooper, the center, Stan Parker's on the left side with Rob Maggart. Reading from left to right along the line, Nebraska goes 265, 270, 250, 265, and Mr. Welter is 280.
We told you that Steve Taylor broke all of Marcus Allen's rushing records in high school. Keith Jones has 4.33 speed, fastest Husker in the history of football at this school, and he broke all of Gale Sayers' records in high school. Well, that's not going bear hunting with a stick. That's coming loaded.
Midfield, first down, Husker. Taylor gives it to Jones. Some thunder and lightning along that right side that time as Paul McGowan, that big linebacker, came through the crack. And you could hear it over in the next county when they collided. Gain of a yard on the ball on that play. Dana Brinson comes in. Looks like the wingbacks are the messengers tonight for Tom Osborne. Brinson comes wide to the bottom of your picture. Jason Gamble's up the top. Taylor spins around, wings it out to Brinson. He's out there by himself, and a lot of white shirts chasing him, and they bring him down at the 40. Martin Mayhew got to him first. Number 32, a junior from Tallahassee.
32, Mayhew, Gordon.
Just short of the 40 and just short of the first down.
Third down and 1.
That's a bold thing. There were 4 white shirts out there, and they threw to Brinson, who was all by himself. I'm not sure that Dana wouldn't like to have stopped and yelled for help.
Pretty safe play, though. I don't care what defense you're in. He takes a 3-step drop, unloads it quickly, and it's a very short pass.
It's third down and about a foot. And Taylor, the quarterback, keeps it over the right side, and he'll have the first down. Mark Cooper, the center, the pivot man on that play, 6'2", 250, and another in that long line of great centers from Nebraska. Virginia Tech 7 over Cincinnati. And look at this. Hello, Southwest Louisiana, 10-0 over Oklahoma State. Everybody will be getting to it next weekend, and we'll be at South Bend for Michigan and Notre Dame. And it is a first down by the length of the football. Number 88 comes in at a wide receiver spot for Nebraska, Rod Smith, and Vaughn Shepard returns at wingback. And the Huskers have it first down at the Florida State 39, 3:50 to go first half, 7-7 ball game. A good one. Keith Jones goes in motion. Now he comes back the other way. What is he doing? Warming up, I guess. Ball goes to Jones over the right side. He picks up about 3 yards.
Warming up. Hey, that may be true. He's the Big 8 60-yard dash champion in track. Maybe he needs to warm up to get going.
Evers is in on the tackle.
Give him 3 yards, second down and 7.
It's fun to watch all these guys with speed. Yeah. Something I never had. They used to time me with a sundial.
Penn State winning big tonight from the 37th of Florida State. Ridden off to the fullback. Kalen is rolled up at the line of scrimmage, and it's Gerald Nichols again, big number 79, the senior from St. Louis.
Keith, you've covered Florida State for many years, and when you look back not too long ago, Florida State was one of those teams that always struggled on defense, used to give up a lot of points. When they'd win 42-40, or when they'd lose, it'd be by giving up quite a few points. But they've really turned things around, and they've established a pretty good defense.
Well, back in Bill Peterson's day, they used to score a lot of points. Jim Hammond and those guys, they really roll them up. You got a reverse. And trapped is Vaughn Shepard behind the line of scrimmage, and a penalty flag goes down. Back at the 45 as Shepard goes down. Thomas Harp, the nose guard, had come out of there and come across and grabbed him, and I think Thomas got the face mask. I'm guessing. I don't know for sure. Well, shucks.
Still have those good eyes. Play just took too long to develop. They brought it back on the other side all the way around, and here's the face mask. There's no question about that. Now, was it flagrant or not? Was it 5 or 15? They're going to go all the way down to 15 with it. Yes, sir.
Well, you know why? Because he had his arm fully extended. He came whipping it across.
Face mask against the defense. First down.
Almost ripped his head off.
So a big penalty against the Seminoles just inside their 22 with 2 minutes and 10 seconds to go in this first half. Nebraska now trying to untie it. Steve Taylor gives the wing back. The old wing back counter coming this way. And Brinson is dropped short of the line of scrimmage. That's a good defensive play. And number 38, Paul McGowan, was right there to make it.
Nebraska ran that play effectively against Florida State last year. And it looks like Bobby has them really geared up and ready, looking for anything coming back on a counter, a trap, anything of that magnitude.
Nebraska's run that play against the world successfully.
For years. I mean, this is the team that's led the nation in rushing 4 out of the last 5 years.
Right. Second down and 12. The ball is back near the 24. Steve Taylor coming around, turns the corner, and butts heads in there at the line of scrimmage, and down he will go. He was butting heads with Fred Jones, and I'll guarantee you that Steve Taylor, even at 195 pounds, is going to lose that head-butting contest because Jones weighs 240 pounds, and he is dead strong at that inside linebacking position. Timeout, Nebraska. 1:16 to go, first half.
Today's small cars are tougher than ever on oil. Their high compression engine.
Well, these two heavyweights we got here in Lincoln, Nebraska tonight are getting it on pretty well. The Huskers trying to untie this thing now. The ball is just inside the Florida State 23. Seminoles got hit with a 15-yard personal foul as a result of the face mask call. And you've got 1:16 to go in the first half. 7-7 ball game. The Huskers have 2 timeouts remaining. Florida State with 3. Right now, the Seminoles are most concerned with Nebraska's possession of the ball. It is third down and 12. Taylor in passing is 3 out of 8 for 32 yards. His running has been the big weapon tonight for the Cornhuskers. Quick trap in the middle. Goes Ken Kalen. Busts his way down to about the 16-yard line. That'll leave him 4 yards short of the first down. In comes the kicking team.
That's all right. They were in the 4-down area, but they didn't want to take a chance on turning the ball over. It's the first game. Safe play. Good quick trap inside. Didn't get the first down, but it sets up the field goal.
It'll be 33 yards. He was short at 49. Lakeman gets it down. Klein hits it. Crowd says it's good, and so do the men in the striped shirt. And Nebraska goes to the lead at 51 to go in the first half, 10-7. And now let's have a look at the respective campuses.
Faculty members at Florida State University have been recognized with such honors as the Nobel, the Pulitzer, and membership in the National Academy of Sciences. Known nationally and internationally for research, service, and publishing, FSU faculty exert their greatest impact teaching the university's 22,500 students. Thanks to this educational foundation, Florida State graduates excel in virtually every walk of life. An example of quality making a difference. The faculty of Florida State University.
Financial know-how. You don't get ahead in today's world without it. And what better way to learn about investment in the real world than to use real money? It's happening at the University of Nebraska, Lincoln. Students are outperforming the Wall Street wizards.
There are risks and rewards, but this is learning for the real world.
The University of Nebraska, Lincoln. Learning that makes a difference.
Florida State 3 timeouts to work with now, but not much time remaining. 51 seconds. Klein kicks off. It's Keith Ross at the 9, the 20, and down at the 27, and penalty flags are flying, and we might have another face mask the way he went down.
Keith, you mentioned the time. There's 46 seconds left. They start with pretty good field position. If it is a face mask, it'll even move it farther up the field. Watch for Ferguson to put 4 receivers now into the offense. They'll go to that hurry-up offense. Here's the play again. Let's look for that face mask. There it is right there. And again, the arm is extended. The head is whipped. Should be 15, and it is.
15-yard face mask against the kicking team. First down.
So now with 46 seconds, 3 timeouts. The ball is resting at the 43-yard line. Dante Wiley got the call on that for the face mask. So let's see what Chip Ferguson can do. 10-7, Nebraska leads. Ball goes to Sammy Smith. Smith still got it. Look out! Great speed. Gets a block. 1 man. Touchdown. Great run by Sammy Smith. 33. Herb Gaynor, the little wide receiver. Not so little. The wide receiver split in. Knocked him loose from the final man, and Sammy Smith goes 57 yards.
Smart play by Gaynor. Didn't put a hard block on him, just cut him off. Now watch. Bobby Bowden wanted one of his tailbacks really to stand out. He hasn't had that. He's had to play a lot of people. This is one of the most heavily recruited backs in the history of Florida State. He runs straight up and down. He runs like Herschel Walker. He's got great speed, great vision. You see his cuts here. Once he's into the secondary, people don't have a prayer to cut him off. You got that final block from Gaynor. All Gaynor did was get in the way of the defensive back, and Smith took it the rest of the way.
And Smith hits the extra point. He's 91 for 91. And in 14 seconds, Florida State goes bouncing back to the lead, 14 to 10.
That's good clock utilization there. One play, 57 yards, 14 seconds.
That run was not without some contact because there were 3 people that got their hands on him, I believe. Another look at it, it's worth seeing again.
Well, by the 15-yard penalty, it allowed Florida State to really have more availability to go to a play like this once they were up near midfield. Fake the reverse, and once again, with that kind of speed and that size, once Smith is into the secondary, it's Katie bar the door.
That block by Herb Gaynor, though, probably was the one. I thought that Nebraska man had a pretty good shot at getting him. And he just shook off number 10, Charles Fryer, down near the goal line to take it on in. So Sammy Smith, 219-pound speedster, has made Bobby happy for the moment.
You know, Sammy said he was a little bit rusty last week in the first game. You mentioned all the difficulty he had with the rib problems, being banged up, and then having the flu and sitting out. He was redshirted last year, although he played against Nebraska and gained 70 yards, and was very impressive, but then he was injured, and they sat him out the rest of the year. So some of that rust now is getting knocked off the shingles, and here he comes. He's out and back in the ball game, and he looks pretty sharp.
Florida State kicking off now. Smith will kick it. Terry Rogers, freshman, son of Johnny Rogers, Heisman Trophy winner at Nebraska, back on the goal line along with Vaughn Shepard. Very short kickoff. Bounces, it's so short. Bounces over the head of Vaughn Shepard, and he has to pursue it all the way through the end zone because he had touched it. So that'll come out to the 20 with an even 30 seconds to go in the first half.
You check 9 to that? Now, in the past, Nebraska has not had a very good hurry-up offense because they didn't throw the ball effectively. They only completed 55 passes last year. Catherine Clayton completed only 35%. It's not that they didn't throw that much. It's just that they didn't effectively execute.
John Kelly, the I-back. Micah Heibel is the fullback. Taylor is the quarterback. Taylor gives it off to John Kelly, and Kelly runs into Fred Jones, and down he goes after 1 yard.
Second down,
10 seconds left. You're Florida State now. They want him to get off the play, but you want to loosen up in case they do try to go deep on you. They won't get it off.
I'm not sure they really want to. They'll go to the clubhouse in this posture. Your halftime score, the Nebraska Cornhuskers and the Florida State Seminoles. Seminoles with a 57-yard run by Sammy Smith take the halftime lead.